Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, when I was speaking yesterday, I was referring to the problem of devaluation. I said that devaluation of the rupee had not been done after careful consideration, that the government had not learned any lesson from the past when the nation went in for devaluation not once but more than once. Out of ignorance and thoughtlessness, the government has resorted to devaluation. The foreign exchange position has not improved. The main purpose of the devaluation was to bring about adjustment in the exchange rate. The main intention was to increase exports and decrease imports. The main consideration was to bridge the gap in the balance of payments position. The main objective was not realized and it will not be realized. It was done at the behest of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Sir, devaluation is a very serious matter. Its consequences are serious. If it is undertaken thoughtlessly or in a hurry, it may destroy the very economic system and dislocate our monetary fabric. This is what has happened now. The benefits of devaluation are less, the disadvantages are more. As a result of the devaluation, what really has happened? The prices have increased. The increase in the administered prices has acted as a catalyst. Already the nation is going through recession. Food production is in the negative. Industrial production has almost registered a zero rate of growth, whereas money supply is increasing fast. The government had undertaken devaluation at this juncture. The non-plan expenditure has been growing alarmingly. There is wastage, there is misdirection of resources to which I referred yesterday. It requires proper pruning and chopping in many areas. For instance, on government staff alone, we are paying rupees 12,000 crores every year, which constitutes 10% of our governmental expenditure. There are 40 lakh employees, and it is said that 50,000 posts can be abolished straight away without affecting adversely the efficiency of the government. Sir, we have borrowed money in the past also, but never had the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund dared to impose such conditionalities. There were conditionalities, I know, but not such conditionalities as they are imposing now. Today, before these international institutions, before the Western world, India is appearing as if it were a country of Lilliputs. Sir, today the country is standing on what I call the accelerator of stagnation and corruption. There is stagnation prevailing. Stagnation and inflation go together with fragile institutions. We have no strong institutions. We have combined these things with fragile institutions. They cannot absorb the shock. That is the situation today in India. The result is there will be galloping inflation even in future. There will be escalation of prices in future, but no containment of prices. And your growth rate will suffer. Recession will continue. Because there is world recession, demand for our goods will also decline. There is no demand for our goods in the world because of the recessionary conditions in America and Western countries of the world. Now countries after countries are dictating to us. I am sorry to make this observation. Japan, which was never making political demands on us, had the audacity to say today that unless nuclear proliferation treaty is signed, they will not in future give the assistance required. This is the kind of reaction. In the international world, sir, how do you function? In foreign affairs, how are you functioning? This is a great nation in spite of its weaknesses. We are proud of our nation. We have played our historical role in the past on many occasions. When the Prime Minister of India or the head of the state went abroad, I know and the House is aware how they were respected. Today, what is the situation? The Prime Minister of India has to go to business communities. He went to individual business people and addressed them in Germany. He voluntarily goes and belittles himself as the Prime Minister of India. I say it is shameful and he must keep up his dignity as the Prime Minister. We are not taken seriously at all, maybe in GET, maybe in UNCTAD or any conference in the world. We are following a very, very low profile. Why are you doing this? We are devaluing ourselves in our own eyes. If there is a recession in India, there is a recession in America also. If we are incurring debts, America is also in debts. The only economic superpower in the world today is Japan, and Japan is dictating terms to America. But America wants us to surrender with bended knees. This is what the Americans are expecting us to do. Sir, I am making a very sad observation. In the international world, in the international gatherings, our delegations are not taken seriously. Sir, what is the reason for this denigration? What is the reason for this decline in our status? Sir, I rise to support the budget which has been presented by the Finance Minister for the year 2002-2003. The budget is bold, innovative and pragmatic in introducing many steps for restoring the economy to its proper path. We have got to see why this budgetary policy was introduced. This House knows what was the economic scenario at the time when the present government came to power in June 1991. The economy was going to be bankrupt in the international sphere. Our reserves of foreign exchange for the imports were not even for 2 weeks' requirements. Internationally, the world was not at all giving any credibility to the Indian economy and the foreign banks stopped lending money to India. The NRIs were withdrawing their deposits because they had lost confidence in the Indian economy. That was the position which was being brought about by the 18th month's rule, and in 11 months the government of the National Front had brought the economy to such a position that the inflation in the country reached its high water mark in July 1997 at 16%. The government have to face this impending crisis because if the international banks and institutions stop supplying funds to India, what will be the our position, our credibility before the world? Faced with this situation, the government took the bold step of devaluation and took certain important immediate measures for restoring the economic strength and vitality of our country. The result is that the present position is that the foreign exchange reserves of our country have increased to rupees 12,000 crores. We are not to depend upon charity now because we have our own strength of our foreign exchange reserves. The inflation is arrested, it cannot be reduced overnight. Economic reforms cannot be made by the magic wand of only the finance minister. The budgetary policy only can create certain conditions to which economy has to respond, and the response cannot be made like the Aladdin's lamp overnight, and hence we have got to wait for the results of the policy which has been introduced by the finance minister. We have to see today what are the objectives that the government had in view for introducing the various measures, some of which are really innovative and beneficial to our economy. The objective before the government was to tide over the crisis in the balance of payments position and at the same time to control the inflation in the country. The twin objectives were achieved by the government by introducing our new industrial policy, monetary policy, trade policy and fiscal policy as well. The budgetary policy reflects the economic philosophy, the fiscal policy of the government, and the government thought, and rightly so, that if the economy is to be restored from its impasse, one of the major objectives will be to liberalize the economy and to unshackle the economy from the cobwebs of bureaucratic control. It is precisely because of this reason that the new industrial policy, expecting in certain basic sectors, has now freed the economy from the licensing and other requirements which created artificial bottlenecks in developing the country on its own. The finance minister has introduced various measures to give relief to the different sectors of the economy. He has introduced a drastic cut in the rate of taxation. Today, there are only three slabs of income tax. The people whose income is up to rupees 50,000 are to pay 20%. The people whose income is between rupees 50,000 and 1 lakh are to pay 30%, and for above rupees 1 lakh it will only 40% with a surcharge which, as assured by the finance minister, will continue only for 1 year. He has also raised the taxation exemption limit from rupees 22,000 to rupees 28,000. In other words, the small income group will get a relief of rupees 6,000 as their tax exemption limit is increased. I would appeal to the finance minister to see whether this raising of the exemption limit will really give substantial relief to the middle or the lower income groups in our country. The finance minister has introduced a better liquidity on the basis of the recommendations of Narasimha Committee. The liquidity ratio is to be reduced from 38% to 30%. It is very welcome measure, for the commercial banks are not to keep much of their deposits locked up in unproductive investments. Now they have been released, and this will give encouragement to the investment in productive sectors. The finance minister has introduced a very important measure for dealing with inflation and evading of taxes. He is giving encouragement for the gold bond, which he will be introducing as he has announced. As a result of this, unnecessary locking up a gold for non-productive purposes will be done away with.